This year, we've already closed, I think, about 555 million year to date, and we have about 96 million pending. So this year, we're forecasting to close 650 million.
Massive.
Yeah, so we
Massive
10x
growth.
our business in within 2 years.
All right, welcome to the Raquel Show. Today, I have a very special guest, someone that I've known for over a decade. Can you believe that? And I have seen him grow from his beginning of his career in real estate to this massive network throughout California and now going into other territories. And I'm excited to sit down and have a conversation with him about his journey. So welcome to the show, Kenny Truong. So happy to have you here. Tell me a little bit about, start us off and walk us through your journey, because I think recently you guys were the fastest growing network and you guys got awarded something with your current company. So just walk us really quickly through a snapshot of what your journey has been as an entrepreneur in real estate.
Yeah, I started as an assistant my first year. I think I was like 24 years old. So this was probably back in 2009, maybe. Yeah, 2009. I got worked as an assistant, did BPOs, installed lock boxes, installed signs. Third party companies, which was actually my first step in real estate. I worked for this third party company that worked for auction.com. So in California, between like here to Clear Lake and Watsonville, pretty much the whole like East Northern California, I installed the big shiny yellow or blue or green signs in people's lawns or stapled it on the garage door. So I went to see hundreds, probably like over 1,000 homes before I actually sold a home working for that company. I got licensed, worked for my very first broker, Vinny and Denise Moen. I had a really good run there. My broker was very focused on, I think it was the number one agent for REOs in the Oakland market. So there wasn't a lot of like sales training, and he's a Mike Ferry guy too. So it's like, just go out there, go to the open house, go talk to your friends, go sell some homes. Like, all right, like that doesn't really work well when you're 24 in a recession, like no one has money, even like adults, older people didn't have money. So I kind of started leveraging technology a lot early on. Just give you a glimpse, I was the very first agent in my market to have an IDX feed. It doesn't sound very fancy now, where you can go on the website and look up Oakland or Berkeley, 100 to 200 grand homes, 200, 300. But that back then was like revolutionary.
So you've always had a technology background, because even when I met you, you were like really good at tech, so much that we added you to a nonprofit board and was our tech chair. So how did you learn that? How did you see the foresight now looking back, right? IDX, first one, something completely you already had that in your nature to be completely like disruptive or think outside of the box. And that's what I've known about you all these years, is you're always thinking out of the box. So how did you learn? How did you know to put, an IDX and drive traffic? Was it something that you heard?
Yeah, when I first got in, like a couple years early years in business, I was really big on reading Tech Savvy Agent every single day. Chris Smith, his publication before he got picked up by Inman and I think by DocuSign or something. And then I used to read Inman like religiously. That was my bio. I read that thing every single day. So I like reading Inman and seeing people on stage and learning stuff. So it was always ahead. And like this is how back then it was like, oh yeah, don't ignore social media. That thing's not going to work for you. Like Inman, people are saying like, yes, this is just a fad, whatever. And couple 5 years later, I think the message changed dramatically, but this is how far behind technology was at that time.
And speaking of Inman, right? Inman is one of the biggest publications in real estate. You were named something special within Inman.
Yeah, my fifth year in business, I believe it was 2015. I won the Inman Most Innovative Agent or Broker of the Year. There was like 17 candidates. I think it was added last minute. You go on the Inman website, you can see like I was literally the last person added, because I got on because of, without diving too deep, because of some cool marketing I've done, and kind of they did a bio on me about what I've done, and then I think that kind of snuck me in last minute, competing against like all the $1 million listing guys, Dolly Glens, and all these like big players in the game, and this little gritty me last on list. But then when I won that thing, it was pretty cool. It really I was already doing a lot of local speaking events, like super local, but then Inman put me on the map. So I started getting a lot more opportunities being in front of more people. And it really helped me kind of skyrocket my brand at that point from the Fast Asian brand.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk about marketing and brand because that's something that is very unique to you and that I've seen you through the years really grasp that concept and really work in your zone of genius. So fast forward, you get Inman Innovative Agent of the Year. Where are you guys at today? Walk us through your journey.
So 4 years, my first 4 years working with the small broker, Vinny and Denise over at what they actually a couple months prior, well, probably like closer to half a year prior to me joining them, they ran Century 21 Landmark Excellence. They had well over 100 agents, but the recession, market crashed. So then they went super boutique. So I started that brand with 6 agents, and then like it was a very, very small shop doing a lot of business. And then I eventually brought on about 3 or 4 agents to join me. There's also in real estate to this day. But then after my 4th year in business, my first year in business, second year in business, I did about 6 million and 5 million, or 5 million, 6 million. And then my 3rd and 4th year, I did about 19 and 21 million. So my 3rd year business became the #1 agent in Oakland for buyer units closing. I was top 3 for units closing total in the whole city, working by myself, by the way, because it was not a lot of traditional real estate skills at that point, because all the people that were doing business, the market crash just shut them down, right? So everyone's building from scratch. So I built it with technology and marketing and social media, which was not really the thing back then. But at the end of my 4th year, I kind of hit a plateau in my business. I wanted to build something cool. I didn't know what it quite was. I was watching this company called Climb Real Estate in San Francisco boutique. I think they had like 60 something agents at that time. We were no East Bay agents. They had some agents who worked a little bit in East Bay, but it was very much a San Francisco boutique brand. And then I met with Chris Lim, and the skill sets I learned to this day is still being used. Like met with him and said, hey, we should have dinner tonight because Michelle Baylog is doing this private dinner for 6 to 8 people. He's just a couple clients and a couple other agents. It's like, yeah, so it's a very intimate catered dinner. I went there. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I went to my broker next day. Hey, I'm leaving, but I'm leaving to their brokerage. So I mean, I didn't have time to plan. I was like, I'm leaving, but I'm leaving everyone behind. I'm leaving, but I'm leaving my four team members, partners behind. I'm just going by myself. This is something I need to do for myself. So I joined Climb Real Estate, and that was when I started my run there. And then that first year I was with them was my 5th year in business when I won the Inman Award, most innovative agent. But then Climb Real Estate also won most innovative brokerage of the year. So meshing those two together, like really put us on the map, which kind of was very cool, right? Because I was the coolest agent for that year at the coolest brand. And then fast forward to literally last week, eXp Realty, which the company I'm with, won most innovative brokerage of the year. I was like, hey, I'm at the coolest company again, and I'm building something pretty cool. One of my mentors this day, Mark Choi, told me, it's like a roller coaster ride, or actually like you got to keep leveling up, because if you don't keep leveling up, you're like old news. Like it's only downhill. Like if you don't keep going up, you're going down. Like you're not growing, you're dying, I think is what they say. So like, how do you keep the momentum up, right? And that was a challenge. Climb Real Estate was acquired by Realogy in their 3rd year, which is my 7th year in business, which is a really big deal because Realogy has not acquired a new brand to add to their franchise collection, which includes Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, BHG, Central One, ERA to their brand in 14 years, but they added Climb, so it was something special. And then it was so special that 3 years later, they decided to shut them down. 3 years later, actually. Decided to shut them down, and then the brand I had 1 day notice. I found out the day before we're shutting down that we're shutting down, and then there was big news, and then that was kind of the next step of the business.
What was like going through your head? You had a book of business, you were kind of climbing, right? And you had 1 day notice. What was the first thing that you thought of? And then what did you do? Because there's a lot of times when like life hits us and we have to make a decision really fast. Sometimes life throws curveballs and some people stay stuck, but some people actually move out of it.
It was planning ahead, but not actively thinking all the time. I remember, so the climate officially shut down like in January. So when they shut down, I was like, oh yeah, looking at my options, like, hey, something's weird. Like this company, I'm loyal to it because I like the potential of where I can take the brand. It's not my brand, but I helped build a big part of it. I literally brought in a third of the agents in the company during when I was there. I don't know how much they sold it for. It's still private to this day. But after they shut down, I was like, everyone, like literally people were crying in the office and sad and like upset. Cause like Climb had this really special magic about it. It was like super family and people just loved it. It was very hip, modern. There's nothing else like it at the time. It's hard to explain. And we ask people, they'll say it's hard to explain. But I saw that as an opportunity. So immediately I just like, okay, well, I've always wanted to look at what other brokerages offer. So I just hyperdrive within a 10-day span, not including weekends. If you take away the weekends, it's actually 8 days. I interviewed 17 different companies, 13 of them face-to-face in person and 4 of them on the phone. I think like 8 of us, we just surprised a bunch of brokerages. We walked into Compass, we walked into Sotheby's, we walked into these companies without them preparing for us. Just say, hey, I want to see your office, including Grub Company, which is a pretty cool spot. And then we surprised all these people. And I was like, but what we did that week that was special was like I recorded every single on IG stories. I recorded every interview, like, hey, we're going to check this out today. We're surprised them. Hey, leave them. Hey, you know what? This is not a good fit. We like this. We like this. Office is terrible. Office is cool. And then people started following our journey because, I was not quite the number one agent in my office, but I was top, like, I think I was like top 5. And, I had at least had the most potential for growth. So a lot of people were wondering, where's Kenny going to go? I remember that weekend too, like 12 different ESP agents. Terrible brand, by the way. At that time, I was like, I'm never going to ESP. It's literally the worst, lowest brand on my list. Call me. And then eventually we broke it down to like, I think we're going to like go to KW, which is very tempting. We met with KW after I met with my team. We had a powwow, like 30 of us came back in the office. My whole team wanted to go to Compass, by the way. I was like, it just can't do it. Like me, please just trust me. Let's just go to ESP. It's cheap. It's 16 grand and I'll get my own office. If it doesn't work out, we'll go with the Compass. I told my team, just let me try this out.
Awesome. So you guys go to EXP, you make the move, and like last year was your biggest year.
Yeah. When we were at Climb, we wrapped up that year with $56 million, about 88 sales. Last year, our first year at EXP, going over EXP, we had 10 agents, but even though we're in that month we were transitioning, we picked up 2 more agents. We had 12. We ended last year with about, I think, 187 sales, but we closed $126.9 million in business. So we were number 23 medium-sized team in California.
And then this year, you guys will do what?
This year, we've already closed, I think, about 555 million year to date, and we have about 96 million pending. So this year, we're forecasting to close 650 million.
Massive.
Yeah. So we 10x
growth.
Our business in within 2 years.
So I'm sure the listeners are thinking, like, how did you get to, like, within a year span, right? Let's just talk about the last year, because you've got like so many things in that story that I'm going to obviously ask questions about. What would you say were some of your biggest key factor to scaling 10x?
I mean, seek out opportunity when everyone else is looking at other stuff. Like things are down, like, like seeking out these 17 brokerages and interviewing them when everyone else is like, oh my God, like what we're doing. And then last year, it was funny because, COVID hit. I remember moving this brokerage January 29th was my official move out day. We signed the office space on February 26th. We were there for 2 weeks. It was great. Like I was like, okay, we're on something that's super fun. For that month, we were working in hotel lobbies and restaurants. We didn't have an office. This was, I think, where like if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have had reached this level of success right now. But between like early March, it was COVID, so like non-essential business, you can't do open houses, you can't do staging, you can't show homes. Like real estate was shut down, the whole world was shut down, and then people started doing Zoom calls. Nothing really special, right? Zoom mastermind. I got invited to one and with mostly South Bay agents, like all top agents, whatever, like chat, and then I got invited another one. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I can do this. I know how to like put some stuff together, which I never hosted a webinar before, by the way. Eventually, somehow between March to May, I was on about 70 webinars and I hosted about half of them. I think it was like 34. So it's in every single webinar I've done is recorded and on my YouTube page. So I started being invited as a lead speaker for many things. What are you doing during the pandemic? How are you pivoting, right? That was the word of the year, pivoting. I remember I first started, like my first webinar locally is like, hey, let's grab the top Oakland and Berkeley broker owners and just chat about what's going on. And people are tuning in like, oh, well, they're the smartest people, right? Like they need to know what's going on. I got them all. And later on, I was like, okay, let's do top 1% Alameda agents. And then like 26 people. It was too many. We decided to shrink it later. And then Contra Costa agents and then Napa. And then like, oh, let's do something for hustle and motivation. Let's do something for mindset. And then like 3 people, like all team leaders. And then we started doing later on, like, like Inman Startup Alley. I had 3, here's our 3 tech tools of the day. And then I remember one day I had like 3 webinars. Some weeks I had 15 webinars. And then But then that really caught momentum because when I'm highlighting these people where I'm just moderating the conversation, I'm running like I email. I was really big on email. I emailed my entire database, which had 10,000 contacts, and every agent like, hey, check out these 15 webinars I'm hosting this week. And then I started going on Facebook, and then Zoom, you stream it to Facebook, and then make sure it took a lot of work. It was kind of like breaking all the time. Then I tagged every single person on Facebook. So if you knew one of the top 20, 30 agents in our marketplace in whatever county, they were featured on my page, and people would watch it and they would watch me. So between that, I did up 70 webinars. I really just put myself out there because there's nothing else to do. At one point, we had like 200, 300 people watching it. And then when things came back to life and people were, back to real estate business, couldn't get 20 viewers on that stuff. But during that time, I maximized those 2 months. So doing all this cool stuff, just putting myself out there. And then people start looking at options. And when people were thinking of moving and, hey, I'm not getting any support from my broker, I was like, well, Kenny looks pretty busy. He's not selling homes, but he just looks really busy. And he seems to know what he's talking about, which in fact, I do, but I don't, because I brought 20 people on. I'm just moderating conversation. On a 60-minute chat, I'm speaking like 5 minutes. But I look cool because I'm moderating. I brought 20 people together every single week, or asking great questions. And I think that put me on the map to be seen as a thought leader during that time when everyone else was like not doing anything. So like we weren't even like all about growing or scaling. But in June, I hired I think it's 17th agent. We did this first indie model where I bring a team member where I'm not on their contracts. Like what, how? Well, that's the EXP model. I could be a team leader, but not be on the contracts. So I don't take on any liabilities. And fast forward now, we're counting onboarding. We've been onboarding about 20 agents a month now.
Well, congratulations on all of your success. And I know that for the real estate agents that are probably listening to this episode are thinking, are you still in production? If you aren't in production, how did you get out of that? And then, what's your focus on now? Because you've massively grown your team. And I would assume that you're not doing both.
No, stopped working with buyers late last year because I got scolded by my mentors. Like, dude, you can't build a business in a car. I was like, that makes so sense. Like I've been talking to a lot of other teams lately, big producers, like 15, 20 producers. One challenge I see with other teams is you can't lead and be in production at the same time. And I hear that on our big Zillow Flex masterminds nationwide, that all leaders are getting production. And then the challenge is, if you're a team, you're listening to this, right? For you, whatever splits you are, let's just say 20% split, right? Well, if you got production, you need 5 people to replace that income. But then you need 5 people that's good as you to replace that income. You need 8 to 10 people in your company just to replace what you earn, right? And so I truly feel it's like one way or another. Either you scale or you stay in production. You can't play small, because if you play small, you can't. You're going to be a insufficient leader because you're half committed, and you're going to be a really bad agent because you're only half committed to your. And I don't even know how you're going to pick which clients you're going to work with, by the way, right? So you actually need like 10 people to replace a team leader. But then I wasn't even planning to get a production, but then at the pace we were growing, from going from 10 to 80 agents by then, you're like, okay, it's safe to do that. How do I focus my time on growing the company? And I mean, we coach together every single week. Is something new. Like what tool are we adding this week? What systems? Who are we hiring? How do we restructure this department? It's just been crazy. But we're constantly looking at, where we're going, where the pain points are before it even comes. I wouldn't be able to do a pivot if I was in production.
You bring up a really good point, right? And it's almost like you have if you're in production and you're trying to scale your company, it's almost as if you have 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out, right? And so how could you be 100% committed into owning the results of one or the other? Because it's really 2 hats. And so what would you say, and what advice would you give to somebody that may have been in your shoes of like, do I give up production? Obviously, there's a fear of income. You walked through some of the numbers that you needed to basically get out of production. What advice would you give to them?
You're not gonna be able to do it yourself, right? That's why we're talking to my team leaders then, because then you can't bringing 10 agents to replace you. Who's gonna do the onboarding? Who's gonna do the training? Who's gonna do the recruiting calls? Right? So you need to constantly hire ahead. If you look at the org chart of most big teams, they're pretty similar. There's like, most people have a lot more. Like we're actually pretty slim. I can go through later, but we're pretty nimble and slim on the department. But right now we saw what's going on last year when I had like 20 or 30 recruiting calls a month. Like, okay, we're on something. I need to like figure this out. Because I only had one assistant, by the way, last June, one assistant and me. She handles my transactions. We're in recruiting call together. We're training new agents. we're doing every onboarding, and it's like, this is not going to work. So we brought on a sales manager or a sales person, a sales leader, to help us with like taking all the tasks that you have to do and constantly chopping up in different departments. So it sounds really complicated, but it's not. Like, I just gave you recruiting, onboarding, training, escrows. Well, I hired a sales manager to take away the recruiting calls and help with onboarding. We brought an assistant to help with then the onboarding. So we took all these tasks, chopped it up. So currently, as it is today, we have 4 leadership team members. My assistant now is executive director. She has assistants. The assistant to my assistant, which was helping marketing, now handles all of our onboarding and vendor relationships. The sales manager I brought on, he's never sold a house in his life prior to last year. So that's when I think sales manager, I think someone that's like day to day and that stuff. So we actually don't even have a typical sales manager in our company. We're actually, I think we look for one, and you said we shouldn't, but that's something I think we should fill in. But then Elias is our director of sales coaching. He started doing coaching calls 3 times a week. He does the one-on-ones with the agents. He does the productivity, and then we do workshops, stuff like that. Then we brought in a trainer, and then we did some video series, but now he's a director of operations. Now we recently hired a trainer. So if you're looking to grow a company, you need to identify what the roles are, because right now, if you're a team leader or a book owner, you're doing all of it. Right. If you don't have a lot of staff, you're really doing, and I'm pretty sure, I don't think you do any of them very well. Right. Because most leaders lead and charismatic, they're influential, they're motivating, but why would they get bogged down by doing the onboarding and marketing stuff? So like, I think looking ahead, where and how you want your company to grow, how big you want it, and hiring ahead. If you hire ahead, you have more support, so you can focus on other things like recruiting and training and helping your agents increase their production, so you can decrease your production.
So how did you have that mindset of, pretty much firing yourself out of these roles? Because that's one thing that I see sometimes in entrepreneurship or even in the real estate agents is they don't always hire talent around them. I mean, for 4 people on your leadership team with almost 200 plus agents with $650 million in volume, onboarding 20 agents, right? How did you trust or fire yourself out of those roles to go, I need somebody for that position and it's time? Did you hire before? Did you hire out of pain? I'm sure some of the people are listening are wondering. When did you know?
A little bit of a mix of both. We hired. So like what I've learned is always hire talented people and then find a job for them. Like right now we have assistants on the team that we hired them for one thing, but they're not that great at it. It's like, let's find them someone else to do, because we know there's something there. We just don't know what it is yet. So it helped that when I brought people on last year, leadership team, I knew they were all special because then other people recommended them or our leadership team wanted them on, but we evolved their roles around them. And now like I logged into the Follow Boss for the first time yesterday, look at the dashboard. We've had it for 2 months now. And I think when you hire the right people and find out what their talent at, and they're in their guru zone, like you figure it out and build the business around them. So now the sales, I was on a coaching call with our 7 squad members right before this call for an hour. I think I spoke 3 minutes on the whole call. Like, I'm just here to observe. Like, when you hire the right people, it's not even like micromanagement. I really don't even manage anything. Like, I just know what we need to do. Like, you guys figure it out. So I think when you let people do what they want and you're not afraid to, make mistakes. Mistakes are made every day, by the way. Like, I don't even know what they are. I just know, okay, whatever. I don't even dwell on anything. Like, we screw up here, just move on and just do something else. We try things and they don't work, just move on. So I think you just got to hire the right people and then trust them to do the job. And you're constantly and give feedback, but you don't tell someone how to do their job.
Oh, so good. So many nuggets in that is like, you have learned the power of delegating without micromanaging, which a lot of entrepreneurs or CEOs actually struggle with. And you also said something just, in that of, I'm sure there's a lot of challenges. I'm sure there's chaos constantly going, especially when you're scaling so fast. How do you manage your energy? And you say you just kind of get over things. Was it something that you just developed over time and got thick skin? How did you have that mindset of we got to move on?
I think it's Gary Vee said in one of his videos. I'm misquoting him, but it's people take action, and the person who makes more decisions in a day is going to be more successful, right? Because you got to get paralysis analysis. So imagine, there's another really smart team out there. They have 10 really important things to decide on today. And they dwell on that for the week. And they finally make 2 decisions and the other 8 are still working on it. Well, So then at the end of the week, they have like, at the end of, let's just say 2 weeks, they have 8 good decisions. That's really powerful, by the way. Eight good decisions in 2 weeks. For me, I might have made, 50 decisions I need to make, like what CRM and offer. I'll give you some examples too, where we screwed up or whatever. Like I can make 50 decisions in 2 weeks and 35 of them will be good. Well, 50 of them screw up. You know what? Some money out the door, but I made 35 decisions. This other really smart guy made 8. So I'm moving 4 times faster than this guy. Like, I'll give you some examples. Like, we were in a call for half an hour. We couldn't figure out what we were going to name our annual company meeting. And Molly, and then I was actually like, would you want to call right before that? So we were rushing. We were at Inman conference. And then Molly had this list of like 50 things, like, hey, cool motivation. So I was like, whatever, that one. And it's like, you guys good? Okay, move on. Like, why are we even speaking? We spoke for 20 minutes before happened, or something like before hopping calls, like innovate, inspire, motivate, whatever. I was like, pick that one, move on. So like, even though we're so quick, like we're still spending 15 minutes on that. I was like, you know what, screw it. Like I need to get off this call right now because I need to go back to conference. That's the one. You guys go with that, move on. And like, we are growing our office space in Walnut Creek, very expensive, by the way. It's like $100, $10 a square foot. We had 4 offices. Like, we had 50 people show up 3 weeks in a row for in-person workshops. I was like, holy crap, okay, need more offices. Okay, let me give them 4 more office spaces. So it's another 15 grand out the door. Like, we signed up for like a year. We got out early, but I was like, yeah, we'll pick this office space. Okay, boom. And then COVID Delta hit and everyone stopped going to office, like shit. But you know what, like I'm out 15, 20 grand, but if an agent on my team doesn't have 3 deals, whatever, I make that back. And in Oakland, people were starting to migrate to Oakland. It was popping. And I was like, okay, let me sign 3 more office space. No one's even used those office space we signed, but you know what? We had to like immediately take action and do that. And then within a couple of weeks, we signed this 9,000 square feet office space in Oakland. It's freaking 20 something grand a month. And everyone's there every day now. Now we have 2 offices, but it's not like I'm not dwelling on whatever office space. Do we need it? Do we not? Okay, just buy it. Sounds like a lot of money, right? I'm probably wasting like 30 grand, but we've, in the last 3 months during this 30 grand mistake, we brought on like almost 90 agents. It's like, I'm not here to worry about office space, because 30 agents is probably going to bring me, I don't know, at least 300 grand next year, right? It's just like, how do we move and quick next year, by the way, not ongoing. So like, you just got to make decisions quick and realize you're going to make some wrong decisions all the time.
I love that. And there's a reason why you're probably called the fast real estate team, because as you can see, Kenny moves fast. He's so fast moving that I know, even being on coaching calls, he's like one of the very fastest executors that I know on the planet. We will talk about something and within hours or that afternoon, he has cameras lined up, videographers lined up, ready to like shoot his story. And we just talked about it this morning. So I love that. The person that is going to be more successful is going to make a lot more decisions and not constantly dwell off the wrong decisions, because you're moving and making so many more decisions that will outweigh and outnumber some of your bad mistakes.
It's like the person that executes the fastest is gonna have the most success. So I'm at conference all the time, and I'll constantly just ping my team like, hey. And then I'm smart about it too, like, hey, this is a Q4 project, this is a Q1 project, this is Q3. Like, hey, let's get this on the map. I'm not saying we need to do it right away, but we should look at it. And then the 4-hour work week, the Tim Ferriss book is great about organizing your time. Like, how everyone gets a lot of stuff done right before you go on vacation. Like, why do you guys finally get things done? Like, why can't you work like that every day and just go at it and take your breaks and stuff? So like for us, when we have ideas, we execute really quickly. And then like, I just start researching it. And because I'm not in production, I could spend a lot of time researching it. And like, I'm looking at technology and tools all the time. Oh yeah, I know that. Like, I know that thing. Like, okay, I didn't know what this information I'm so interested about, how it will help me later. But later when there's a decision to be made, oh yeah, I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this. Not even in the time I need to think about it. I just literally just spent time reading and thinking about it. So this whole like thinking ahead or pre-planning ahead. So for us, I feel like we make decisions really quickly. Like, we see that office lease, we only are looking for office space. Actively, I went 8:30 in the morning on LoopNet. I was looking at office space. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. I pinged the agent at 9. I went there 9:30, saw him, made an offer that day. It was like that's like a $2 million rent for the next 5 years. But you know what? I thought this is the space we want. You guys want to check it out? It's at 215 Washington Street. It's one of the coolest spaces we've seen. And so we signed office space in Stockton. We just got the lease back today. And then my team said we need an office. And we were talking about getting an office for them for months now. And they checked in. I was like, hey, we need an office. Like, shit, we're opening 3 more right now, which we'll talk later in the call. I was like, shit, okay, we need to get an office right now. Okay, let's just have my commercial guy and a couple of people go out. Okay, then we saw it. We made an offer, and that was it. That was 2 weeks ago. So, because if I don't get office space, I might lose an agent. My office space that year is $2,000 a month. which is what, like 25 grand a year, which is a lot of money, by the way. But one agent coming into the office in that market in Stockton is going to bring me 25 grand. So if I don't get the office space, I lose an agent. Like we didn't lose an agent, but this is where you're playing ahead. So we need something right away, and we found something cool, and that's it. Like we have to make decisions really quickly. Like this is because you're in a production, you're listening to, you're able to communicate and listen. And we're still behind on projects. Like there's so many things we're not getting done, and every day, we've been coaching. Like every day is something new that we need to attack, and we're as organized as we might seem at almost a 700 million team. Like I tell people we're hiring next year. Our goal is 2 billion. So all this sounds cool. Like I don't need all this stuff. We're doing $700 million fine without next 7 offices, but I want to do 2 billion. So what does that look like? Who do I hire, right? And who do I coach? Who do I work with? Who do I talk to? What masterminds I need to? Upgraded from Tom Ferry coaching to Team Plus coaching. I was like, okay, I can't get to where I want to. I'm sticking with this crowd, which is great, elite crowd, but I need to be in the team crowd. So it's always like looking ahead, what you need to do next, and making those decisions really quickly.
Yeah, what got you here won't get you to there.
Yep, absolutely.
And we always hear that. And one thing that you said that was super powerful is the moment that you can go from idea to execution and close the gap between idea and execution, you will always win. Right? And so as we think about your business and your journey and you scaling extremely fast, what would you say were some of the lessons, or is there a point where it's too fast and you actually go, we're going to pause for a little bit because we've got so many things going on?
No, because I'm all about the fail forward thing. I really don't like everything. If something goes wrong, like in the 50 decision thing, right? 15 bad one. I don't even know what the 15 bad ones are because I literally spent seconds on it. What, like office space, whatever, we lost them. Last 30 grand. Like we don't care. Move on. So I would say the lesson is like, just take action. If something doesn't work, pivot really quickly.
What were some of the mistakes that you would say, like looking back, you would change if you could change anything?
So we changed it already, like making sure we're being more in touch with our agents. So we realized we had this is how quickly we moved. Like we feel like we're growing too fast. We're in touch with agents. Even my sales manager, he's like, hey, we should stop onboarding. Maybe we did a no onboarding in November. I was like, no to no. Like we're not stopping our growth, like because people want to come to us. It's a season. So we just adjusted. Like, okay, well, like we hired Andrea, our team relationship specialist, booked Elias, our sales manager or sales director, 30 one-on-ones. Okay, now we're into the community. Okay, now we recruiting is like a battle or a war. We're starting to lose some agents to a brokerage that transparently has caps and flex. No other brokerage has a cap and flex. So now, like, okay, we need a culture check. So me and Elias spent 2 hours on the weekend because he came back from a conference from CISU in this entire talent assessment chart. We've been going to coaching with John Cheplack, where he taught us interdependent. Figure out if your agents are dependent, interdependent, or dependent. So me and Elias spent 2 hours. We didn't finish it. We wrote down all names of our roster. We scored them on a 1 to 10. Are they good culture fit? Are they productive? Are they independent? Dependent? And then we looked at it, it's like, okay, these are the people out of the 200. It was like probably 170 because new people, we don't really know them yet. It's like, okay, these are maybe 10, 20 people we need to focus on. But that's like identifying, okay, we need to get in touch with them and do stuff like that. And then we're also culture fit, like, hey, we need something to build culture. So 5 months ago, we started doing top producer dinners. So, okay. And that's been a huge hit. We award the top 3 units and top 3 volume for a special dinner. First 2 were terrible restaurants. One was restaurant, one was freezing outside. And now we moved in-house. So we do it inside our really amazing office. And then now we have caterer and then private chef. And then now we have live music. Now we're decorating, like constantly pivoting. And then next month we're launching Hustlers Lunch. So based on productivity and tracking, we're awarding. See, like that's where our gap was, right? You said mistakes. Like we're not in tune with the people who aren't producing at a high level yet. So now we're going to do a Hustlers Lunch. We said we couldn't even get together this week. It was like we're doing in November. We couldn't. We're like based on our weekly tracking where we highlight top hours working in your business, hours working on your business, appointments, and showings. Those 4 categories. We're going to take top 4 of each week, and the 16 people, probably less because of overlap, for lunch. And then people I've heard are not getting agent attraction. So me and you are doing our very first agent attraction. Like oh, by the way, so I'm on top 10 recruiter at XP. I have a 58 FLQA. So I have almost a group size of 400 in less than 2 years. So, but I'm not teaching the agents. I realize like my agents are watching my Instagram stories, learning most of the stuff. And that's why I recruit at a high level, but I'm not actually spending time in the office doing coaching. Like I I technically have 3 coaching programs I'm in, paying almost 10 grand a month for coaching, and I go to these conferences and learn stuff, but I'm not bringing information back directly to the agents. Like, shit, okay, now we need to set workshops. So those are the gaps and challenges that we saw, and we're pivoting right away. So now we're going to do agent attraction class once a month, and I'll bring a guest speaker every month. And it's like, this is pretty cool. Like, I brought in a guest speaker. We did a branding and workshop design class. We did 2 Thursday a month ago, and then we did again Thursday. And a guy brought on, challenged my team to do the 30-day video challenge. I think 15 of our agents have done it. They've done almost 20 videos this month. So I know we're all over the place, but it's like, okay, where the gaps are. People need help with branding. Okay, let's do a workshop. People need culture. Okay, let's do dinner. People say they know how to recruit. Shit, well, I know how to recruit. Well, I'm not teaching the agents. Okay, now we're doing work class. So this is where like we just constantly have like something. So at our company, we do coaching classes 3 times a week. Then we have the 4 things, which is the productivity class, the top producer dinner, the hustlers lunch, agent attraction, and then our lenders do like 3 or 4 happy hours a month. So like at our company, in person, we literally have like at least 10 events a month, which is overkill. And then this is based out being in 2 offices. So we're opening, we have technically, I think 7 locations right now. We're opening 7 more. So when we have 14 offices, like, what the hell? Like, we need more help. Like, we need more people. We need that, like, someone touching the agents. So now we hired a head of education and mentorship. And then we're looking for a head of agent development. Head of agent development is going to fill in the gap and coach the agents from 4 to maybe $4 to $20 million. Because the guy we're looking at right now, we talked to, he does $20 million this year in 30-year business. So like, if we can fill in that gap with the mentorship program, coaching the new agents, then we have a guy or a department coaching the 4 to 20 million producers. Then me and Elias can focus on the 20 and 50 million producers. And it's all about leverage at that point, right? So these are challenges we run into. This is literally all the stuff I just mentioned in the last 5 minutes have all been just started in the last couple of months. So as fast as we're growing, like, we're constantly like, okay,
pivoting.
And then we're like, okay, is this gonna be too much or time suck, whatever? No, like, that's actually micro targeting or maximizing our time. Okay, can do better than a 3-hour super impactful dinner. And actually, that's a really great recruiting tool too. So we brand people dinner, and we constantly hire top producers from those dinners.
So there was so much in that, and I would love to just kind of point out some key points so that I think you guys did a really good job when it came to scaling. Is what you and your sales manager Elias did is you guys actually took the time to think about what your culture was, go down every single agent. Most brokerages or even CEOs today in their companies don't always do an assessment. And I always say that at the end of the year, it's actually time to audit your systems, audit your people. Do we have the right people in place? Do we have the right systems in place for us to go to $2 billion, right? And what you did is some of the feedback, rather than listening to the feedback, you guys audited it yourself. Then you guys listened to the agents and you figured out solutions that could help the agents either produce more or get in touch with them. And now you're building different positions to make sure that as you guys continue to grow, nobody's left behind.
I mean, everyone can grow, right? But I probably bangs like, like, you can go somewhere in a private, shaky, small plane, right? You'll get there, but it's not going to be comfortable. So I think what the stuff we're doing, like 2 billion is the target. I feel very because we're not bringing on teams, hitting, but like, is it going to be a terrible ride, shaky there? Will people leave? Which is going to, if people leave and it's a bad culture fit or something happens and something blows up, then you have to fix that problem. So you want to jump ahead of things so you don't have those hurdles or challenges, which is going to time suck away from the growth. So we're thinking ahead. We're like, how are we going to get there in the safest but fastest? Like, how do we make our growth like a bullet train, right? Versus I don't know, like a car where you might be stuck in traffic. You might get there, but when are you getting there? We want the ride to be as smooth as possible for everyone, and like hyper target. It's like sitting in a Tesla versus, I don't know, like an old school truck or something, going to where you want to go. So I told our team this morning, right? Like the whole Zillow Flex thing, right? We were leading the market, and all of a sudden we were tanking. I was like, holy crap! Like we need to fix this, right? Now we're ahead of the market. Like within 2 months, we turned everything around. But we're overall, like in the 6-month scale, we're still behind, but we're very confident where we're going. But other teams right now, like out there, they're going really well. But like we're past that. Like that's why other teams will start looking to us like for help. And hey, what's your how do you fix these problems? Like, well, I just created my organizational chart. It's on my Instagram page. It took me 2.5 hours to build that thing out because me explaining to you my people and the assistants and department is confusing. Now with the archer, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty confusing. We had 23 people working for us right now on our staff leadership team. So if a team's out there with 10, they really just have the broker or sales manager. Well, you don't have all this other stuff. Why don't you just come work with us?
So what's really cool is you've built this like rocket ship, is what I always say. And what you have done is you have catered to, it doesn't matter where you're at in your business, you have a solution, whether it's somebody that wants to get out of business and wants to retire, whether it's somebody that wants to merge with you, whether it's a team leader that has hit a ceiling and doesn't have the hiring down. You have all these different departments. And that's where I think
building it. Yeah.
You're going to constantly scale even faster, because now you're attracting people that can't build this on their own because it was such of a headache. Because a lot of times when we get into real estate and we start building teams, people leave us. And then that agent or that rainmaker goes, well, maybe I don't want to build a team. Or the time where your agent or your assistant leaves you and then you got to start over. You constantly are growing so fast and you're constantly looking for talent. And I think that gets missed very often. But as I look at all the businesses that we've scaled and all the big businesses that we scaled really fast, it came down to talent, and it always came down to recruiting.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've got a lot of things going on. You've got staff, you've got org charts, you've got partnerships, people are coming to you. How do you manage your energy so that you stay focused on the big rocks?
Well, I think with the scaling fast, right? Fast sounds cool, but like I'm out production. Let's just assume I've been out production really mostly since the beginning of the year. I spend at least 60 hours on my business. I usually don't work weekends, but this is a 60 hours in my business. What's that? 240 hours in a month, right? This is 10 months. So I spent this year 2,400 hours building the business. A team leader out there, you're spending 10 hours a week. You split your time. Like you really, I'm working 25 times faster than you. So like that's the thing, like bailing out all these things takes a lot of time and energy and a lot of money and resources. Like we won the number 2 GCI team of the entire year for EXP Realty. I think our year-to-date GCI is about $13 million. I've spent well over $1 million on staff and offices and stuff. Like people just can't chase us, right? And then the whole energy thing, getting a lot of good sleep. I mean, I've actually slept 4 days in a row over 8 hours. People think I don't sleep, but I don't know how. But I think it's holiday season, things are slowing down or less crazy. But I make sure I sleep 7 hours every night. I try to get in bed by 11ish, and I'll be out late on the weekends. But sleep is important. I eat a lot. If you guys follow my Instagram, but I don't eat trash. I just eat a lot of different type of cuisines and nice things. I try to meditate once a day, calm app 10 minutes, just like I'm usually just doing the bed. Like you need to zone out. And on the weekends, I play a lot of Call of Duty. So I play video games a lot. I remember watching Elena Cardone Instagram this video. It's just super funny. It was like she wasn't feeling fulfilled and she found her way. And then it's like Grant just comes home working 14 hours a day and all he does is want to play video game. And then I was like, yeah, that's me. And then she's like, I'm not happy because I haven't found my thing. And then I was like, oh, okay. So even Greg Cardone plays a lot of video games. So like if I'm not working, I'm doing something, but work is super fun. Like we have events at our office every day. And now part of our company too is making sure people are using our office space for events. Like we have like 3 client appreciation parties at our Jack London office space. There's 4 Friendsgiving from tomorrow morning to 3 at the office. No, 4 in office. Shit. We have 4 Friendsgivings at the office back to back each night because we let their agents use it too. So a lot of the job, is obviously building the systems. Like I'm hard to reach in the daytime, but all my agents can reach me using my Zoom link, my Calendly link. So I'm super accessible. I make sure that I've been giving this, like I think about this stuff a lot. So make sure I'm not like up here and everyone thinks we can't be reached. I'm in the office every day. If I'm not traveling, I'm in the office, and if people need me, they can literally step in and talk to me and I'll step out, but I'm usually on a call or something. I'll work in the back room. So, you just got to time block really well. So working in your business, working on your business, if you guys don't know this is the main thing you need to focus on. Make sure you're figuring out what hours you're allocating in your business, which is like showing appointments, conversations, calls, stuff, meeting clients, and then on your business, which is probably like mastermind, recruiting calls, training, meetings and stuff like that, conferences. And then yellow is like errands or health. I haven't worked out much lately, to be honest, but I've been walking a lot because of conferences. And then orange is like playtime. So my calendar is pretty structured. You'll see blue, green, yellow, orange throughout the week.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I know about Kenny. He definitely goes 1,000 miles an hour. And some of you guys may be thinking, wow, that's a lot of hours, that 60 hours a week. But he's built a machine. And I'm sure and it's fun for him. It doesn't even necessarily feel like work. And he's one person that I always tell people, What makes him so different is he honors his commitment. It doesn't matter if he's traveling, he's in something else, he doesn't miss a coaching call and he executes after that coaching call. So that is probably one key thing that I have learned about Kenny on how he has climbed his success is that he's an executor, he honors his commitments, he takes his commitments very seriously, and it doesn't matter what conference he's at out of the country. On his birthday in Greece, he was on his coaching call, right? And so think about like $2 billion. Let's like fast forward for a second when it comes to like big thinking, playing like really big. Do you ever have fears around, that might be too big, or we may not hit it, or people doubting you? Because I remember even when you first started, whether it was like park benches or when you came to EXP, you were like, I'm gonna make it to the top, and everyone was right.
A lot of more traditional agents like I have trash talked me over the years, or people talk behind my back just because they don't. Differently. So I had the whole bench ads area. We're not gonna dive too deep into it. Where I had fast agent and Oakland's being gentrified. So for 3 years, people were wrecking the heck out of my sign, trash talking me, death threats, like cuss words. So that's one thing. But while I was building the business, using the technology and doing stuff like that, and doing social media and just being out there, a lot of the old school traditional, you're probably your typical demographic of agent, NAR. Like we're like not liking the way I was doing business. How is this like young, 25-year-old coming in doing 50 sales a year, and we're here, working. No, he's too loud doing this. Like, so I had a lot of pressure and hate from other agents, even. And then when I was really so like in Oakland, I sold 1% of the homes, even though like I'm literally the most known agent in the city, but I sold 1% of the homes. That's mind share over market share, and people just didn't like how aggressive I was getting my business. Talking trash back to people or posting stuff like, well, like. This seems fine to me. So a lot of people who've done traditional didn't like that. But what happened? Like you fast forward a couple of years, and Outliers was a really great book. I was like, but then they flipped it. I spent probably over 30, 40,000 hours of my business. Outliers, like, you put in 10,000 hours, you became was it 10 or 20,000? You become a pro at it. I was like, okay, by the time I'm like,
you can master it. Yeah.
You can master it. I feel like I mastered real estate many, many years ago, being the number one agent for a couple of years. Like, okay, if I now do real estate, all the clients will want to work with me because I do real estate. And but in fact, what happened was I did so much real estate and teach people how to do real estate. Now I've attracted other agents to learn how to do real estate. So it actually worked out even better. And then like the ways and my methods, unconventional as it might be, using social media, right? Now you have Cole Banker telling you need to use social media, right? It's just a whole different spin. So I think I was just ahead of my time doing things that's a little bit innovative and disruptive. And now the agents want to model my business. I recruited 65 team members. I climbed. Again, like early on, I wasn't getting paid for it. I just did it just to do it because it was like people were looking out to me, out for me. And now, like you fast forward, I was talking about Mark Choi a couple years ago. Like, hey, wouldn't it be cool one day? Like I had a bunch of fast agents, and I wrote in my Tom Ferry book. I still have it like next to me. Like when I first started coaching my third year in business, I wanted to do $100 million in business one day with 20 agents. Like that was a big deal. And then like last August, so 2 years ago, I wanted to set something. I wrote in my book. I wanted to do I have a $200 million in business 1 year with 30 agents. That was my big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm like, now I have $100 million pending at any given time. It's just crazy. That was my mindset. Like my big, I'm set my goals pretty realistic. So when I say this $2 billion, I'm going to hit the $2 billion. It's just like how and what. And I think you're asking me like these big goals, like I think it actually gets easier because you have the momentum, right? Yeah, I was bringing on 5 agents a month and 1 month 10. I was like, oh crap, 10 agents a month is insane. Like for any brokerage, small brokerage. Now we're doing 20 a month. Now I'm like picking up teams of 8 and 10 and maybe this team of 35. I was like, holy crap. Okay, why don't we just pick up teams of 20 every single month? Like some of you might be listening. Why? Like that sounds crazy. Like why does it sound crazy? We literally just pick up 8 and 35. Now we know what we're doing. We have the momentum. We have the staff. We have the onboarding. We have the training and coaching systems. Like what's stopping us from picking up 20, 30 agents a month? That makes like reversing it makes no sense. We can't do that. So our goal is 600 agents by the end of next year, which I don't like. This was the goal I set before even like picking up teams. I was like, we can do 20 a month individual agents. And then ESP obviously has a revenue share component. So last month we brought in the 20 something agents. I brought in 2 of them myself. Like the other 20 agents came from my team members, which was so happy to be here. They brought in other team members. So the 2 billion market, I think as you're growing faster, there's more momentum and everything becomes more exponential. It's less of a linear growth. And then you realize that also 2 billion is near impossible to do in one market. Like super respect for like Rev Company and Red Dog, traditional 30 something year brokerages. They do about billion, billion five each. Well, I will be currently in 7 different locations, technically 5 locations, but we have 14 locations. I'm not building 2 billion one location. I'm building, give me, I don't know, like 150, 200 million each location. So it actually gets easier as we grow bigger because we have more scale and more versatility. And people, different from a KW franchise model or B Chico banker franchise model where, okay, I'm in Oakland, my friend's in San Jose. What, that guy would never in San Jose would never join the Oakland office. It makes zero sense. And the brand's the same, but the managers and the staff and culture and community is different. But Fast Real Estate is in 14 locations before next summer, is one staff, is one group of people, all your friends are here. Like, do you know a friend 2 hours away? Well, great. We have office there. You have a friend that way? Well, great. We have, like, it makes it easier. And we're not recruiting one location. We built this brokerage on the brokerage platform, which is EXP Realty, but we take away all the nuances and all the stuff that keeps things from growing. And we're just going all out. Like, what do you need? We have it for you. Like, and then, right now we're lacking on our org chart. We're lacking a director of marketing. We're lacking a videographer. We're lacking in-house someone. I'm doing 40 recruiting calls a month. It's way too freaking time consuming. Not only want to talk to new agents. If you're a new agent, talk to Elias. And that Elias doesn't want to know new agents soon. Like, okay, who do we hire to talk to them? So I can focus on, the big producers. So if I focus my time only talking to 10 million producers and 20 of them a month, if I close 10 of them a month, they're adding 100 million. If I do this for 6 months straight, I'm adding 600 million, right? It sounds crazy, but it's not. There's a lot of 10 million producers out there that are pretty lost right now.
Yeah. This is expansion at its finest. And what you have just said today is that even though 2 billion sounds crazy, you have figured out a way to make it happen through 14 locations. And you're absolutely right. When you start talking to a $10 million producer, you naturally, as a leader, will up your recruiting skills and ask better questions because all of them have challenges. I remember when we were in expansion, our growth leaders, we made it a minimum of, if we were going to have locations and we had, something similar, that they were going to be at least a $10 million producer. Why? Is because they actually knew how to lead people, but then they had all the other headaches that caused them from growing really fast, right? So that's how you're able to scale these $1 million locations, and you guys hit $13 million, right? Now you guys are focusing on and segmenting your business of like, here's what this type of agent need at $10 million. Here's what our 4 to 6, right? You're uncovering different values because you can't have a one box fits all. Same thing with coaching. You can't have a one box fits all because it's just never going to work. So you're going to find your different gaps and you're going to fill those gaps in.
Yeah, if you're like a couple examples, like you're a broker owner that's in production. Like I'm thinking directly to conversations I've had with 10, 15, 20 million producers. Well, your broker is in production. What if you want to grow a team? Your broker doesn't have a team. He can't teach you that. What if you want to become an influencer? What if you want to do more video? What if you want more systems? What if you want more tech? What do you want to practice your scripts? Like your leader is good at that thing, and they have a very. And most people are like this point in career, they're comfortable. Like if you're making whatever you're doing, it's all about balance with your family. Good thing I don't have any kids, so my time is more spread out. So more recently, the 50 million brokers we're bringing over, the 35 team, they do development. Like we went to see a $2 million flip their day, and that 1.5. They're not able. Like what I asked them when I first called them, one of the guys, like, what's your pain point? And he said, technology, coaching, onboarding, systems. Like, hey, you're not gonna believe this, but we literally excel in those areas. And then like you have agents coming, and like the challenge with growing a team or a brokerage, wherever you're at, I don't care what market you're in. If your team members are looking for more and they want to grow and you're not growing, they're going to outgrow you. Like, I don't like this. We constantly run in agents with 90-10 splits. Great. What do they offer you? Nothing. Well, you went there for a split. Yeah. Okay. But now you're looking for more. Are you willing to pay less, but earn more and more opportunities? So the challenge is like, that's why I'm in production. I'm constantly growing and going to tons of conferences and learning more things. That might not be my thing, but I know who to hire to get that thing done. Right. Like, I mean, these masterminds with these top agents, well, we do client appreciation party. Well, agents can't afford client appreciation party. You know what? Use our office. We'll pay for it for you. Like a couple grand, like for me, but the agent might make 10, 20, 30 grand, right? It's a win. So leaders need to kind of keep growing. And I think that's why we excel at our pace. Because, okay, talking to 4 million producer, you probably need more leads. 10 million producer, you don't need more leads. You need more leverage. And then 20 million, okay, you need more time back. Okay, use our showing agents, use our virtual assistants, use our marketing department. Like leverage all this stuff. I partner with the new agents. Well, most team leaders at a traditional brand can't bring on new team members together. They can't train them on contracts and training and coaching and scripts. Come in, but we already have literally hundreds of agents that are all hungry and thirsty, and they're being trained by the day. Work with one of them, keep your relationship. You don't even need a team. When you join our team, you really don't even need a team. You're like leveling up to, the Gary Keller Red Book, right? You come in, you're almost like a level 4 or 5, I don't know exactly, but level 4 or 5, you have your TC, you have your showing agents, you have your marketing department, you have your leverage, you have brand team members. You don't even need to build all that. If you come in, plug in, and we have really great splits. We're rolling out, so we're competitive. We have all this stuff. As a team leader, if you're making $300,000 a year, great. Well, you can hire $80,000 assistant and an $80,000 videographer and some showing agents and take time to train people. Well, we have that. You come in, you plug in. We actually have all of that laid out. But this was the focus. We were building it. I built my team, which is now this giant company. Like, well, along the way, while I was building this mega team, I have all these resources. Now it's actually cheaper to scale, right? Contract with a video company. We have like cheap everything. And the thing is, when people plug in, they're getting all the stuff rather than you build that. You just plug in and we give you that. There's a lot of options out there. And we, like Side Real Estate is doing great. I think they have 300 agents, 20 billion this year. They're helping agents build their own brand. Well, you come in, we'll help you build your brand. You don't need to rock the team fast real estate brand. We're invisible. You pay us and we'll use our resources. You build your own brand, but people come in, they actually want to use their brand. They have their brand on stuff, but they also rock Team Fast because they know that Team Fast has a lot of clout to it. And it's really great for agent attraction and recruiting. So yeah, and then our agents, give example, we have a sold fast sign that's red and black and white. Now agents have this, I saw Kevin Boy's yesterday. It's all green and yellow and it's pretty cool and has his logo in the middle. It actually says So Fast, has his brand in it. Or Vivian, our team, has all blue and white. It says So Fast, but it's blue and white. So people are actually branding themselves, but leveraging some parts of our brand.
So good. So good. What you have built with Fast Network is you've given unlimited resources, unlimited opportunities. And sometimes we have a tendency to look at splits. But like I say, 100% of a split of no opportunity is nothing, right? You can actually have a split with unlimited resources and build a really big business. And I will say that anybody that plugs into a machine like this most likely will profit and net more money, keep more money in their pocket because they don't have to build it. They don't have to hire an $80,000 a year assistant, right? And anytime that there's a challenge, guess what? That job comes back to you when you're a solo owner or solo entrepreneur. Whereas the Fast Network and what Kenny's built is there are so many people that can help you. Doesn't matter what your challenge is. So I love what you have built. You've built it fast. I love your mindset around it. I love your execution strategy. Our final question is, what is it that you do to continue to play bigger in business and in life?
I think just being around the right people. I go to these conferences and these leaders and, just learning what they're doing. And I don't if I'm doing my mundane tasks and repetitively, I get really bored. I like constantly something new and challenging. Now that we're number one, we're going to be number one at ESP. I don't even know what's next. So now I want to build. I think last year, according to Real Trends, the biggest team was Place. I don't think they're really honestly a real team or not. The way it's whatever, but it's 2 billion. It's now I want to be the number one team in the US. Based on last year's number, if I do 2 billion, we will. So after that, I don't know, let's bring this brand to other cities and states, be the first true expansion brand that KW style, where I don't know, why can't we be? And the trademark, it took a year, but the trademark for Fast Real Estate has been approved, so no one else can use it. I was being very quiet about it because I didn't want someone opening up shop in Chicago or Tennessee or whatever, right, with the Fast Real Estate. Now I own it, the trademark. So I want to bring this brand to other markets, bring on expansion partners, and then grow something. EXP is cool, but EXP is such a large company. What is EXP, right? It's something a little bit everyone. So we're trying to build a platform on their platform. And my goal for 2024, I don't even set my goals that far out, but I think I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do $5 billion. We would be literally one of the biggest. If we were brokers, we'd be one of the top 20 in the country, but we would actually be a team to show what's possible. And then, whether people want to work or align with the Fast brand or not, but people want to look to someone that's doing it. So, that's what my intentions were, to go large, becoming this company, many people come to eSpeed because the revenue share component is very cool. And the easy way, not lazy, but the easy way is, oh yeah, you can build a huge revenue network without opening a single office or agents. But what if you did that and you did this, right? No one's doing both of it because this is the hard way to many, but this is the fun way. And that's why I think KW has succeeded and doing really well. But now, I think they hit a plateau where people are like, now what? Okay, we've grown this. Now we're locked into our market centers and locations. I can't play outside my court. Well, there's something new. Like this is, I think the next step is going to take this, go bigger. $2 billion local market is great, but whether you brought this model into like many, many markets across the US with different partners.
Well, it's like suddenly, then gradually, it's a hockey stick, right? And then you've got, like you said earlier in our conversation, you have momentum that is getting you faster and faster. And you guys are doing a lot with your own like platform where you guys are able to onboard people really quickly because you've done it so many times. You guys are constantly upgrading your systems. You guys have built this platform that has unlimited resources, unlimited opportunities, and you don't worry about the small stuff, right? This is why Kenny has grown so fast in less than, your fast growth was in like these last 12 months. And now imagine what it's going to be, as you continue to move forward.
There's no experience, no one teaching, coaching, right? Like no one knows you're building the airplane as you fly it, but we're so focused on adjusting and, pivoting and changing. That's why we're going from 56 million to 2 billion in 3 years is unheard of, I think.
It is unheard of. It's making history in our industry. We want to thank you for your contribution. I want to thank you for being on our show. If you have enjoyed this show, please share it on Instagram and tag Kenny Fast. He's always on his stories. He's definitely known for his stories. That's who he is, right? That's what people say is he's got a million stories. He's always entertaining. So make sure you follow him on IG at Kenny Fast, and we'll put it in the handle in the show notes. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode.